Hey, good morning, everybody. Cindy from Master Cindy, and I am in the parking lot of Gold's Gym, and I'm getting ready to go in. And yes, my hair is bedhead, and no, other than some lipstick, I don't have any. Well, I put a little bit of eyeshadow on. Hi. Good morning. We are going to continue in our discussion about super processed or what did I call it? Clearly I'm not awake yet, and that's my Band-Aid. I get the 2 stitches out of my trigger thumb tomorrow, so that's good news. So we're going to talk about cravings. When we look at processed food like substances, it's not really food. It's a food-like substance. And if you've ever heard of someone with substance abuse, that's why I don't want to call it just carb addiction. You can call it whatever you want. But that monster that lived inside of my brain for 59 years, and if I let it out again, do you remember, was it Pirates of the Caribbean where they said, release the Kraken? So we're going to talk today. Good morning. Hey, Chris. Hi, everybody. Hey, my good friend Lindy is having some surgery today, so keep her in your thoughts and prayers. But let's talk about cravings and what they are. So now, once again, I'm a registered nurse. I am not a substance abuse specialist. I am not an addiction specialist, but I am an addict. All right. I did for 59 years. I'm 64 now, so that means 5 years. I have been dealing with my obsession about processed food-like substances. And I have been dealing with them via a low carbohydrate ketogenic diet, lifestyle. I don't want to say diet anymore. With a lifestyle, and that was one of the first steps for me, was to understand this isn't a short-term fix for a long-term substance abuse problem. This is a lifestyle, and I recognized that when I first heard about the science of what processed food-like substances do to me and do to our bodies, because sugar is tricky, because it's so sticky. And it sticks in on the linings of our blood vessels. It sticks to our red blood cells. It actually really, causes a release of that dopamine. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, tell me where you're coming from. So hi, Nikki from Columbus, Georgia. Tell me where you're coming from as you hop in. And these processed food-like substances is one of the reasons that I feel that this is substance abuse. And it is absolutely not that you are weak. It is absolutely not, and I'm going to start crying, that I had no willpower. Because willpower out. All right? We have to realize that we cannot, on our own, overcome those sugar demons. I was telling you about that book I've been reading, Sugar Demons, which led me to that book, Super Better by Jane McGonigal. And I will post those links. And what I've been learning from James Clear with Atomic Habits. And we need to set up, I can't speak for you. You might have only been overweight for 5 years and you had 5 pounds. And those 5 pounds are important to you. I'm not making light of that. But for every moment of my life that I remember, I always thought about, when can I get my next fix? From an early age. And I've been set free by keeping those sugar demons out of my life. The processed food-like substances. And for 5 years, I've been talking to you about my journey and my 94 pounds down and all the things that it has done for me. But I've never really delved in to the addiction part of it, to that driving need to satisfy the cravings. And always before, I satisfied them with something that gave me a quick hit, that quick release of dopamine, that quote comfort food that's really poison to me, because I one bite, as we were talking yesterday, is too much, because then 100 is never enough, and that's a AA saying as it relates to alcohol. So what is a craving? A craving is it's a need that we feel needs to be met. And that could be boredom, it could be stress, it could be anxiety. And so we turn to something to relieve that. And Dr. Sybus talks about using a bridge. He's the carb addiction doctor. I sure hope you follow him if you haven't yet. And he talks about having bridges, and a bridge could be that when you're feeling stressed or anxious, you take a sip or two of a non-caloric beverage. So you do something to give yourself time to let that craving pass. And one of the things that I've been really impressed about with this book, I'm not going to cry because it makes my nose run. Stupid nose. Well, I'm glad I have a nose. But the cravings are when we have an intense thought to relieve some reconnect. I don't know if I reconnected or not. It was saying we're trying to reconnect. But anyway, so we could look up a craving. I looked up addict last night, the root word of addiction. And I have it written down at home. I'll have to post it for you. But back in Roman times, it meant to be enslaved to something or to someone. To be, and then I'll list them out because it's very fascinating how the word addict or addiction they think came about. But it basically meant that you had someone or something over you that you were enslaved to. And for mine, it was processed food like substances. And we have to find as a community a way. How many of you have had the best food plan in the world? Give me a thumbs up in the comments section or a thumbs up in the emoji. How many of you have slipped off the wagon before with keto after maybe 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, maybe several years, and you find it exceedingly hard to get back on? Once you release the Kraken, I don't want to say you, I worry I don't know if I worry, but I'm on guard. That's a better word. I'm on guard every day about allowing those sugar demons loose, releasing the Kraken. I don't want to do it. I want to admit to anyone that'll listen to me every day, I'm a processed food like substance junkie. And one bite for me will open up the doors to all of those dopamine receptors that have calmed down but are still like waiting to be reactivated. And they come back with such fierce driving dopamine releases that you are out of control again, that I worry I would be out. It's so many of you have been so kind to share with me that you just can't seem to get back to what you were before so far as having the eating under control. So according to Dr. Sivas, according to different scientists I've been reading, Dr. Joan Ifland, and now Jane McDonegal, Super Better is the name of that book. It has really been good for me because we know, many of us, that we are out of control when we eat processed food like substances, and we know that we shouldn't. We know that it causes us to be achy. Fill in the blanks. What are some of the things that either stripping processed food like substances out of your body has helped you get better at, or what you're feeling again now because maybe you've fallen back into that addictive craving cycle? Because it is a relentless monster. It is something that you have to arm yourself with. So the cravings will come. Trust me. There's numerous times a day that little thought drops into my mind. Wouldn't blank taste good? I'm not even going to give it the sound airwaves time to call it out. But we know what they are. And the list of ingredients will be so long, we don't know. No one has ever said to me, Cindy, I am so addicted to broccoli. I have this thing for asparagus and I'll eat pounds and pounds of it. No, because that's a whole food, right? So what do we do with cravings? We have to find ways to help us get through the craving. And if you feel that you're obsessed with those thoughts, here's a couple of things that I've learned. And I give full credit to Dr. Rob Sivas, to Dr. Joan Ifland, to Joan McDonegal, to all the different people I've been researching about. Dr. The metabolical book doctor, he's a professor out at UCSF. He's a pediatric endocrinologist. Lustig, Dr. Lustig. So they get the credit for all of this. Find something to push that thought out of your mind. That can be calling a friend. That can be going for a walk. That can be putting on some great music, whatever it is you like. That can be getting up and shaking. I just dropped I was shaking it off. That can be getting up and shaking it off. That can be anything you want it to do. But what Super Better has taught me, and I am going to figure this out, is that I can be my own superhero. I actually bought myself a sassy fedora hat. It's a bright red felt. I'll probably take a picture of you. And I have it sitting right next to my desk in my bedroom, which is my home office. And I have, I'm going to put it on when I feel those cravings. And that's going to be part of my persona. I might just get a cape. And she talks about assuming a superhero identity so that when these cravings hit you, and it's not a food addiction book, please. It's a recovery book. She had severe concussion and had all of these headaches and brain fog and problems. And so she's a gaming designer. Like video game designer. And she goes deep into the science of how we can rewire our brains. And I want you to know that there's hope. That our brains, those obsessive thoughts, can be blunted down and we can rewire our brain. It's called neuroplasticity. And we can find ways to get past those cravings. They won't last forever. They might come back frequently, but they won't last forever. And just like a door-to-door salesman that first knocks on your door very loud and then maybe they will blunt down as long as we've found healthy ways to get ourselves past that. So go ahead and type in so we can share with each other what are some of the ways that when a craving hits you, because it can hit you hard and it can hit you when you least expect it. So what do? If you're driving, just don't go through a drive-through. Crank up some good music, but go ahead, please, and type in what have you found works for you. For the first 5 years of this journey, I did not have any desire to come to the gym, but now I'm ready. Somebody asked me the other day, what happened? I don't know. I don't know what happened. I just finally said, okay, I'm ready. Maybe it was finally the gym's really opening back up here in Texas. Maybe it was that my body was ready for a new challenge, but superhero Cindy, I'm trying to figure out my name. I'm actually going to give myself a superhero name, but you think about superheroes don't walk around in their capes and their outfits all the time. They have, when tragedy strikes or someone's in danger, what happens? They come out of their normal persona and they become that superhero, and they can do superhuman things. So how do we deal with cravings? We're going to find bridges. We're going to find methodology. She talks a lot about games like Tetris or Candy Crush Saga, where the visuals of having to think through things, if you can do that for 3 minutes, research driven, that 3 minutes is going to force your brain to start rewiring that neuroplasticity, because you have to be so focused on the game and moving the pieces around. Dr. Barrio comes to mind, that you will get through. It gives you that other tool. Clearly, you can't do that when you're driving. Probably wouldn't recommend it if you're in church or synagogue, or in your mosque. But I think that there are ways yet to be acknowledged about gaming. And that's what this whole book is about, because that's her area of expertise. I'm a nurse. I'm going to talk to you about a lot of the physical things, but we can't ignore the brain, and we can't ignore that we have these grooves in our brain. I was in that earthquake in Japan, that 10.0, 9.0, and I was in Tokyo, 180 miles south of the epicenter. And it wasn't just the first earthquake that hit, it was all of the subsequent ones. And there were 300 recorded earthquakes in the 5 days it took to get me out of Japan that were greater than a 6. Greater than a 6. 300 of them. By the time I got back home in 5 days, 300 aftershocks. I literally had such bad PTSD. Took me a while to recognize it. Well, actually, I didn't recognize it. My husband did when he found me about a month after I got home, curled up in the fetal position in the closet, crying, because every loud noise, every sudden movement, I had all these flashbacks. I was a mess. I was literally a mess. And he called an emergency number and got me in the next day to a therapist. It took about 6 months for me, through multiple counseling times and talking through it and realizing I was safe and that I was strong and that I could, and there were different things that I did to help me feel better. And I think we have to almost take that same approach. And she talks about a lot of these neuroplasticities. I got my retainers in, so I'm sorry about the list. But if I take them out every time I talk to someone, I'm never going to get my teeth straight. But so I'm going to check out Tetris and Dr. Mario. I don't know if I'll do Candy Crush Saga, although that would be sort of funny if I'm a sugar slayer to do a Candy Crush Saga. But I will try to give you some synopsis of what she says. I'll jot down some notes. I got to go in and get on the Stairmaster because I am Sugar Slayer Cindy or whatever I'm going to, but I'm not going to wear my hat to the gym, although it's probably a good idea with my hair looking like this. Anyway, I hope that gives you some hope that you can rewire your brain, that these obsessive thoughts and the one thing, oh, let me tell you this real quick. I literally love all of my friends that have keto food recipes. For me, if it's a tough day, I cannot sit and scroll through recipes, keto recipes especially. I can't because it triggers me to want to eat. And I'm really desiring, I have a lot of great recipes, and what I found that I do for me, it may not work for you, is that I don't pin them to Pinterest. I go to their website and I literally print out the recipes I want to try. And if I like them and they're satisfying and I think I have a lot of satiety out of it, and it's not too hard to make, I will keep it in a 3-ring binder. I have one for breads, I have one for main dishes, and I have one for desserts. And that way, when I need to meal prep, when I need to think through what are we going to have this week, I don't have to get on and waste time trying to find where I put it or get distracted by other things. It triggers me. You may be fine scrolling through all this stuff, but I found that that's not good for me to do every day. So I don't go on them every day. I have a rotation of food. I'll add a new one every here and there. But there are ways to get through the cravings. There are ways to rewire our brain for neuroplasticity. And I don't care how many times you've fallen. I don't care how many times you've regained the weight, half the weight, all the weight, plus whatever, fill in the blank. I don't care because I know you can do it. You're stronger than you think you are. You just need some tools. We never expect a construction worker. My husband's a retired welder. We never expect a welder to go and put together a pipeline or build be a fabricator, which is what he was, and create something without the right tools and without the practice to be able to do it successfully. So it doesn't matter. You're not a failure. You've fallen. Maybe you haven't. But I don't ever trust that I'm strong enough to have a bite of something because I don't want to unleash the Kraken. So be a superhero. Let's walk through. We'll probably talk about cravings for quite a bit as I delve into the science, as I look at different ways that it could be taking your dog for a walk. It could be hugging your dog or playing with your dog for 3 minutes in the backyard if it's not raining like it has been here in Texas. But anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that's encouraging to you. It's really been encouraging to me to actually publicly, I've said it before that I'm a carb addict, but I'm not. I'm a processed food-like substance addict because they've altered our food. Oh, I could just go on and on about big food and what they've done with the bliss point and the chemicals. It's not just the processed carbs that they've added to it. It's how they've altered them, and it's how they've added chemicals that are flavorings that actually are extremely addictive in and of themselves, not really even thinking about the carbohydrate base, but those flavorings that they add that you can't even pronounce and the dyes that they put in. There's so much freedom when we strip that out. We were never meant to be able to process food like that. We're not built that way. We're built to eat whole foods. That when you pick it up in the grocery store, you recognize it. It's not all hidden in cellophane with bright pictures and bright colors. Anyway, I need to go work out because I have a meeting. I have to be at work by 8. I hope this helped. Share it if you feel that there's value. Minimally do something so you can find it on those days think about being a superhero, I'm going to figure out Tetris or Dr. Mario. I sort of like the Doctor. I don't even know if it's still a game, but we'll figure it out. I hope you guys have a blessed day. Take care. Big hugs. Feel free to share this, and you can do it. You are your own superhero. Bye.